Hi, welcome back to my channel, Exploring Full Woo. I'm Georgia. Today I wanted to talk about the act of creating and being creative. I want to focus upon how the act of creating can help us in our everyday lives, particularly right now, and also promotes a positive, bigger picture. Humans are immensely creative and generative beings. It is our superpower. We have a few, but this is one of them. To have an idea and see it through to completion, to bring it into reality. This is a form of manifestation. This kind of manifestation is 3D. It's the creation using materials and things that we have within our environment. But nevertheless, it is creating and it is manifesting. Sometimes it can be hard to find that creative spark. I have struggled with this myself. I have training as an artist, as a metalsmith, and I lost my spark for quite some time. Fear, grief, sadness, loss of direction, all these things are antithetical to creation. However, the act of creation can help this process. And I know this from experience. We also have to work on silencing our inner critic. This may be the most challenging part. One of the things I've come to realize is it's not about the final product. It's about the process. As an individual who has tried to make a living over time making artwork, it is hard not to think of it as an end product process. But realistically, the act of creating is the important part. Everything else falls into place after if you love the process of creating. You don't need to be a quote-unquote artist. You don't need to make things to sell. The act of making is incredibly healing and transformational for anybody. And it doesn't need to be objects. It could be building a deck that you've worked the plans out for, maybe even yourself. It's making a beautiful meal, something that is nourishing and tastes so good, and something that you are very proud of. It's really fun, I find, to make food that I kind of don't know what it's going to end up being in the end. I have a general idea, but to be honest, my husband's much better at this, and I can see him in his own creative flow when he's cooking. It's really wonderful to watch, to be honest. It's funny, going to art school both helped and hindered my art making process. And especially after grad school, I realized I had to unlearn a lot of things. Part of the process of going through grad school is sitting and being critiqued by your fellow students. And ultimately, the idea is it informs your process. It allows you to find and look at your own work in different ways. It helps you inform what you might do next. But at the same time, you kind of have to have a strength of resolve, because not everybody's going to like your work. And guess what? That's okay. Sometimes you don't even have to like your own work, but somebody out there will. I know that sounds a little weird. I've come to know that my process of working needs to be more intuitive. I need to trust that I have the ability to create something and not try to plan every single aspect out. That can be challenging. As a metalsmith, we are a little like our material we work with. Stubborn, inflexible at times, needs a little push or strength from a hammer. And a lot of metalsmithing, there needs to be a lot of pre-planning because there's a certain sequence of events that can need to happen before you are able to achieve a certain look or certain technique. But as you learn, some of that process becomes second nature. As souls having a human experience on this earth, the act of making, of creating, brings you to a stage of alignment with your highest self, with your soul, the rest of you that is not having this earth experience. It's still you. And it allows you to be in process and in concert with that part of you. My favorite part of making jewelry is the design process. And it is the ultimate creative process. And there's times I'm working on a pair of earrings right now that I've redesigned and processed a few times because it just doesn't feel right yet. But I am right now learning to embrace the process. It's taking me a little longer to make these earrings than maybe it normally would, but I realize that I have become a student again. And it has really helped to accept that this is part of the process. Things in the world are, well, pretty dark right now. The opposite to fear, I feel, is the act of joy and the act of creation. The finding joy in creation. I think it's very hard to actually be in fear when you are in your joy. Again, creativity, the act of creating, you don't have to be an artist. You could try to write a song. You could fiddle around on an instrument. You could write a short story. You could redesign how you want your garden bed to be once spring finally hits, which it isn't quite there yet for us where I live. Actually, it still snows where I live in April often. It's not my favorite part, but I still love when I see the crocuses come up, the first flowers, the first creative act of Mother Nature after the winter. When we are in a creative flow, we are, in essence, being the most positive human. Especially, I think, when we can co-create with others. I think that is a pretty amazing process and something that I wish I could do more of, because as a jeweler, it's a pretty solitary process. Sometimes I wonder if I should have gone into glass blowing, because you need a team. You need to work in concert with others. It doesn't matter if you feel like what you're making isn't good, because I can tell you already it actually is. And I can tell you already that there's somebody in this world of billions and billions of people who love it. This has helped me in my process as well. I tell myself that I am making each individual piece for somebody, and that there will be somebody for each piece. And that creates a feeling of connection. I'm really honored when somebody wants to express themselves through a piece that I have made, because jewelry is a form of adornment, and often for people a form of self-expression. So when somebody wears something that I've made on their person, it's pretty amazing to me, and I am deeply grateful. I want to mention that many artists in the past start and stop their work over time. Start a new piece, stop it, start another new piece, stop it, start another new piece. Many of the well-known painters, there are ways of seeing underpainting that look completely different to the final product. Many painters will go through the process of painting and overpainting and overpainting, and in that process they are refining and deciding what it is and almost looking for what's going to come out of the canvas in the process. I think this is pretty amazing. I would like to give one piece of advice, and that is get curious. Get curious and play. That's really all you need. And as you follow that curiosity and follow and feel that play, your technique, if you're concerned about it, will improve, because things take practice, and that's okay. In fact, after working on a piece for some time, the time put in makes me even more proud of what it is I've produced. So I have a few tarot and oracle decks, and I use them to sort of figure things out, sometimes to reflect. They sort of act as a mirror for me to think about certain things. I have a particular deck, the Modern Nirvana Oracle, and I've actually chosen a card for today because I found it really, inspiring, and I thought that maybe others might share that feeling as well. So the card is called Perception, and I actually really like the artwork, and it was one of the first things that attracted me to this particular deck, but also because this isn't a standard tarot deck, it gives different words and different ideas and concepts for a person to consider.